Hello, it's Tom Donald from the London Contemporary School of Piano. Today I'm going to play a cover of an Elton John song, a deep cut. This is a song you probably have never heard before. It's an instrumental piece he wrote and it has absolutely gorgeous, lovely piano chords. So first I'm going to play it and then we're going to do a breakdown, an analysis of the chords. So I'll just play through the whole thing first. And then the second thing is we're going to break down the chords because I think you'll learn a lot from lovely chord progressions like this. Why have I chosen to do this piece? Someone like Elton John has many famous songs, but he's also got a lot of pieces of music that are lesser known, that are absolutely magnificent. And this piece is just a glorious piece of music. And in this era where there's a lot of students out there looking to play contemporary piano pieces, and there's a lot of contemporary piano music written, some of it I find not so interesting. I think this is a piece you should know about. You might want to learn to play and get your fingers around some of these chords because it's just an absolutely gorgeous piece of music. This piece of music's from 1981. It's from an album of his, very little known album called The Fox. That's the name of the album and the record. And this is an instrumental piece on the album called Carla, Chord. And it's a piece he recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra. So it's quite orchestral. And without any further ado, I'm going to play it. Firstly, if you're a fan of our work at the London Contemporary School of Piano and you want to find out more ways to improve your piano playing with great 21st century tuition and coaching and bring your playing to the next level, you should inquire about our free resources kit as well as our complete musician program. All right, let's get started. Carla, Chord by Elton John. Now, I'm sure you'll agree with me, that's just a beautiful piece of music. Such wonderful chord writing and developments in the piece of music, and it has quite a free structure about it. And the first unusual thing about the piece, now I'm going to do a bit of a breakdown on it, is, and isn't it crazy that such a beautiful Elton John piece of music is virtually unknown? I mean, that's what has driven me to do this deep cut session today, because I just think this is like some of his best writing, and no one knows the piece. So it's just great to be able to cover it. But the most unusual thing about the piece is it starts in the key of B major and ends in the key of D minor. And yet he gets between those two keys very effortlessly and comfortably. It sort of evolves itself. It starts in the B major and it ends in the D minor. And if you listen to the album on the Fox record, you'll actually hear it. That D minor section turns into a synthesizer fanfare and then joins onto another song called Chloe, which is an absolutely stunning song. I don't even have time to cover that. So you should listen to that whole sequence. It's a bit like a concept album. Elton John did a lot of concept albums, which are not known as concept albums, but they're like concept albums. Tracks join onto each other, and we talk about Pink Floyd being the band of concept albums. Nah, Elton did a lot of them. He just didn't call them that. It's almost like he doesn't take himself that seriously. He's dressing up in these crazy costumes and writing songs, but actually the art behind what is happening is like, I think it's above the bands like Pink Floyd. Sorry, Pink Floyd fans. This is like ultimate stuff. So we're going to start with the first section and break down the chords. And you would have seen the chords show up on the screen while I was playing it, which I have lovingly put in the editing, because it's really important to see what's going on in music. But we've got this lovely little melody in B major. So we've got B major, G sharp minor, 7, then the E major, back to the B major, and that lovely F sharp major 6 resolving to the F sharp major. So it's all just in the key of B major. Chords 1, 6, 4, and 5. And then he develops that with these extra chords that are outside the key of B major. Elton John does this a lot in his other songs, in a lot of his famous songs as well. But this A major, which is the flattened 7th of the scale. Then he resolves that to E major, which is chord 4. But then he keeps pushing outside the key now with the D major, which is the flattened 3rd of the scale. Then lands back on the A major, which is really nice. So he's now departing from that B major scale just with those chords. And it's happened so quickly. It's almost happening without noticing. It just, whoop, we have these bunch of chords. So we got... So what happens next? Then we have this F sharp minor. Then the C sharp major. B minor, C sharp major. So he's almost taken us to the key of F sharp minor, A major, you could say, with these chords. And then, when he repeats it, this time he resolves it on the F sharp major, which leads us back to the B major section again. So then we get, and this piece is not really tightly structured, which is what I sort of like about it. The structure's a little loose, which keeps us guessing. But we go back to the theme, so there's enough structure there to give it lots of cohesion. So we go back to that theme again. And he repeats that whole thing again. So we're in B major. Change of key. So A major, then the F sharp minor, B minor, C sharp major, F sharp minor, E major, then the F sharp major. So that was the loop he's created there, these two sections. Let's say it's melody 1, melody 2 in the different key, and then melody 1, and then melody 2 in the different key. And now, rather than going back to B major again to do something different, he changes key completely. And this part of the music's a little mysterious because it's not entirely clear what key we're going to be in yet. And what's really beautiful about this section is the use of the bass line against the chord. So he uses two chords, D major and F major. And they're a minor third from each other, the D major and the F major. So it sort of has quite a unresolved sound to it. But to tie it together, we use a common note. Elton John uses a common note in the left hand that's in both of those chords, which is an A. And then fills it up with a little melody, connects the two chords together. It's just absolutely beautiful writing. It's quite simple, but it's not as simple as it appears to be. It sounds simple, it's got that beautiful simplicity about it, but it's interesting enough because it's outside the key. And I know a lot of you are fans of composers like Arnaldi, but I think this piece is on a much higher level of writing because it uses simplicity, but it's got a sense of mystery about it. So it's just, I think, on another level. And then it settles into C major, and I'll show you how this happens. C major over the G, G major over the F. That's a beautiful chord. And then that leads us to an A minor, then the E major. So it sounds like it's actually in A minor. You probably could analyze that section and say that's in the key of A minor, but we haven't heard an A minor chord at all. It's been anything but the A minor. It's sort of we're playing around the key. It's really lovely writing because it's suggesting A minor without ever officially playing an A minor. So let's just do that again. Got that A in the bass. We do it again. This is like the cello melody I'm playing in the left hand here. So the cellos are doing that in the original recording, so I've added it to the left hand. It's very Hollywood, that part. Now the next section, F major, D major. Now we settle in C major. There's a twist with that E major. It still feels it's going back to A minor again without the A minor. We repeat it again. Do that up an octave now. Then it repeats that again. Now, finally, we have a resolution. This music's sort of been up in the air for a while. We started in B major, we went to another key, back to B major, sort of to another key, and now we've settled in this A minor haze, but finally, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We go to this key of C major. And the C C major is expressed in a very Elton John-like way with chords like B flat and F. That's like the gospel-y flattened 7 thing he loves to do. D minor over C, then the B flat over the F. This is where it's no secret that it's an Elton John piece. You know, once I remember on social media ages ago, I played just the beginning of this piece and I said, everyone guess the composer. I have a lot of musician friends. No one could guess who it was Elton John. People were guessing that it was John Rutter, who's a sort of a popular sort of classical English composer who writes very English music and choral music. But no one could pick it was Elton John. But when you get to this section, I think it's a dead giveaway that it's Elton John, you know. So we've set it on the C major, but now we have another key change coming up. We've gone to the key of F major. F major slash D minor. Finishing on the D minor. So it's like a sudden key change in the coda of the piece, which is a bit unusual. But the reason why that's there is to connect us to the next section, which turns into the song that's later on the album. So that concept album feel is happening in the music. So we've started in B major. We've drifted out of B major to keys like F sharp minor and D major very briefly. We've then traveled to a sort of hazy A minor, but not quite resolving on the A minor. Then we finally resolved to C major, the relative major of A minor, to create that sort of, you know, that resolution. But we're not there for very long. We very much quickly jump to F major slash D minor, the relative minor of F major. And Elton's just done it in a very free, improvisory way. It sort of lilts really nicely. He's not thinking it. He's not overthinking it. He's definitely not an overthinker, Elton John. You know, I say to people all the time, our students all the time, try not to overthink when you compose or when you improvise or when you play. Try not to overthink things and intellectualize things. Try and use try and train your sense of intuition. And we're talking about a songwriter who's got a really strong sense of intuition. You know, famously Elton writes songs in 5 to 10 minutes based on Bernie Taupin's lyrics. But in this case, he's just really drifted through these keys. Probably doesn't even remember how he wrote it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. He sort of created a mood picture with these movements of keys. And it goes to show that sometimes obsessing about theory doesn't help, because instead what you want to do is just listen to the sound a chord makes, and well, how does that chord link to the next chord and to the next chord? And sometimes in music you can have, you know, there's a saying that good accidents happen to good artists, and I think one really nice accident that happens in this piece, I don't think Elton thought about this in an intellectual way. Everything I know about his music doesn't seem to fit with that, but the way he sort of stumbles across that D major to the F major with the A in the bass there. That's my favourite part of the piece. It's just really gorgeous writing. And then when you add that little cello line that's in the left hand. So there's so much you can do with chords on the piano. Chords are such an important part of our learning and our music education. And if you want to develop your chord playing more and understand how chords are the overarching picture in your piano playing and in the way you make and create music, you should consider our Complete Musician program, which is a structured resource and course where I break down the elements of playing piano from chords to groove, rhythm, improvisation, melody, not in some tailored way, over-engineered, over-theoretical way, but in a way that's very straightforward, down to earth, and help you get in touch with your inner intuition with playing music. And just like any great piece of music, I hope this song is a nice discovery for you today, because not many people know it, and I think it's an absolutely gorgeous piece of music. It's a gem. It's one of Elton's best kept secrets, and I'm very proud to cover the piece for you today, and I hope you have enjoyed today's seminar. I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you very much.